The blackness of space was deep and endless. Stars flickered in the distance, cold and silent. Far from the warmth of any sun, a small alien scout ship moved slowly, scanning the darkness. Inside the ship, the crew stared at their glowing screens, with anxious eyes. They had been sent to explore unknown parts of the galaxy, to find new worlds or new threats, but today they found something that stopped them cold. The scanner beeped loudly, drawing everyone's attention. The signal was strong, much stronger than anything they had ever seen before. On the screen, a huge shape slowly appeared. It was a warship, but not like any warship the aliens had ever encountered. This one was enormous, shining with a strange light, and covered with weapons that looked far beyond their technology. The captain, a tall being with green skin and many eyes, leaned forward. His name was Varkal. He had seen many battles and many warships, but nothing like this. "What is this?" he asked quietly, his voice trembling a little. "Where does it come from?" The crew worked fast, zooming in on the strange ship. They scanned every detail, every weapon, every shield. The results shocked them. The warship was Earth's, the human ship. The legends had said Earth was weak, a small blue planet with no power to fight. But this warship was something else. It was a machine of war unlike any they had known. Its armor was thick, its weapons were powerful, and its technology was far more advanced than the aliens' own. Varkal's heart beat faster. He could feel a cold fear spreading inside him. "This changes everything," he said, looking at his crew. "We thought Earth was a small world. But this ship, it means humans are dangerous. Very dangerous." The crew exchanged worried looks. They had heard stories about humans before, stories about fierce warriors who fought with courage. No, other race had. But seeing this warship was different. It was proof that humans were not to be taken lightly. It was proof that they were ready for war. Varkal ordered the ship to keep scanning. They needed more information. Was this warship alone? How many humans were there? What was their plan? But the answers were not clear. The warship seemed silent, as if waiting for something, or someone. Suddenly, the ship's communication system beeped. An urgent message came through, a warning from a nearby fleet. "Do not approach Earth's warship," the message said. "It is armed with weapons that can destroy entire fleets. Many who have tried to fight it have been wiped out. Turn back now or face certain death." The warning sent a shiver through the crew. They had almost sailed into a trap without knowing it. Varkal clenched his fists. "We must warn the fleet," he said. "This warship is more than a machine. It is a sign of Earth's strength. And it means war is coming." The crew nodded, but fear showed on their faces. They had hoped for peace, for exploration, for new friends. But now they faced a harsh truth. Earth was not weak. Earth was a power that could destroy them all. As the alien ship turned to leave, Varkal looked back at the warship on the screen. He wondered what humans were like. Were they kind? Were they cruel? Did they know what they held in their hands? The warship glowed softly in the darkness of space, silent but deadly. It was a warning, a promise, and for those who saw it, a sign that death was near. The crew prepared to send their warning to their people, but deep inside, Varkal felt a question growing. How would humans fight? And could anyone stop them? The days that followed were tense. The alien fleet gathered near the edge of the human system, watching, waiting. They sent spies, small ships that sneaked close to the warship, trying to learn more. But every time the human ship reacted faster. Its defenses were strong. Its sensors were sharp. It was as if the warship was alive, watching every move. One spy ship was caught. The humans did not destroy it immediately. Instead, they sent a message. It was short and clear. Leave now, or face the wrath of Earth, the message sent fear through the aliens. They had never seen such confidence. They had never met a race that dared to speak so boldly. But the humans were not just bold. They were ready. Varkal sat alone in his quarters, thinking. He thought of the stories he had heard as a child about Earth, stories of fierce humans who fought without fear, stories of a planet that survived many wars, always rising stronger. But nothing compared to this warship. It was a symbol of that strength. He knew the coming war would not be easy. Many lives would be lost. Many planets would burn. But Earth's warship had changed the balance. It was a challenge no one could ignore. Across the galaxy, other races learned of the warship. Some prepared for battle, others chose to hide. But all knew one thing. Earth was no longer a small blue dot. Earth was a power that could decide the fate of the stars. Back on the alien ship, the crew prepared their final report. The message was simple. We found Earth's warship. We are doomed. And with those words, a new chapter began. A chapter of war, of fear, and of hope. The alien fleet was silent in the cold space near Earth. The huge warship they had found stayed quiet, but its power was clear. Varkal, the captain of the scout ship, sat with his crew, watching the stars through the ship's windows. No one spoke much. Everyone was thinking about what they had seen. The warship was not just a machine. It was a symbol. It told a story about humans, a story the aliens had not understood before. For a long time, they thought Earth was a small, weak planet. But now, they knew the truth was different. Humans had grown strong in ways no one expected. Varkal opened a communication channel and sent a message to their leaders far away. We have found Earth's warship, he said. It is more powerful than any weapon we have seen. We must prepare. This is not just a threat. It is a warning. The leaders replied quickly. They were worried but also curious. They wanted to learn more. So Varkal's crew began to study the warship every day. They watched how it moved, how its lights blinked, and how its shields glowed in the darkness. The warship was silent, but it was alive with power. One night, while the alien crew watched, a small light blinked from Earth's warship. It was a signal. The aliens didn't know what it meant. Was it a greeting, a warning, or a call for battle? The question made everyone tense. Varkal decided to send a small ship closer to Earth's warship. It was a risk, but they needed answers. The small ship flew quietly through space, moving closer and closer. The crew inside felt the weight of the mission. If they failed, their whole fleet would be in danger. When the small ship reached the warship, it scanned the surface carefully. It found signs of life inside. Humans moving with purpose. They were ready. They were alert. But the humans did not attack. Instead, the small ship received a message. It was simple and clear. Turn back. This is your only warning. The message shocked the aliens. The humans were confident, not afraid. Varkal knew this was not just pride. It was strength. Earth was ready to defend itself. Back on their own ship, the crew talked quietly about the message. Some were afraid, others were angry. But all agreed. They had underestimated Earth. They thought humans were weak, but they were wrong, very wrong. The aliens began to share stories about Earth's past. They talked about how humans had survived many hard times. They had faced dangers from within and from outside their world. Each time, humans had grown stronger. They learned from every challenge and became better. Varkal listened carefully. He had heard some stories before, but now they made sense. The warship was a sign of that strength. It showed that humans had learned to protect themselves in ways no one expected. The aliens tried to find a way to avoid war. They sent messages asking for peace. They wanted to understand humans better. But Earth did not answer. The silence made the aliens nervous. Was Earth planning something? Or was it just waiting? The days passed slowly. The alien ships moved quietly, near Earth. They scanned the planet's surface, watching cities and forests below. Earth was alive, full of movement and life. But it was also quiet, like a sleeping giant. Varkal thought about what would happen next. He wondered if there could be peace between Earth and the aliens, or if war was the only answer. The alien crew prepared for both. They repaired their ships, checked their weapons, and trained for what might come. But deep inside, everyone hoped. The warship was just a warning, not the start of a battle. One evening, the crew received another message from Earth. This time it was different. It was a challenge. "If you want peace, show your strength," the message said. "Prepare yourselves, the future will decide who is right." The message sent a chill through the alien fleet. The time for waiting was over. The quiet before, the storm was ending. Now everyone was ready to see what Earth would do. Varkal looked at his crew. He saw fear but also determination. They were ready to face the unknown. They were ready to find out if Earth's warship was the end of their hope, or the start of something new. The stars shone cold and distant, but the battle for the future had begun. The alien fleet moved slowly through the vast emptiness near Earth. Every ship was quiet, filled with thoughts and questions about the mysterious warship they had found. Varkal, the captain of the scout ship, sat watching the stars, his mind heavy. The silence was thick, but something in the air felt like a storm was coming. The warship they had scanned was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Its size alone was massive, but it was the quiet power it held that made them uneasy. No weapons had been fired, no attacks launched. Still, the warship seemed to carry a presence that said it was ready for anything. Varkal ordered his crew to increase their scans. They needed to understand how the warship worked, what secrets it held. The scanners sent waves of data back, showing them images of the ship's surface. Strange symbols and marks were etched into the hull, glowing softly. It looked like a shield protecting something valuable inside. While the aliens studied the ship, small probes were sent closer. These tiny machines moved carefully around the warship, sending back pictures and readings. What they found surprised everyone. The ship was full of life. Humans moved inside, busy and prepared. The humans were calm but alert. They seemed to know exactly what was coming. The aliens tried to communicate again. This time their messages were clearer and friendlier, hoping to avoid conflict. But the humans did not respond. Instead, the warship remained still, as if waiting for the aliens to make the next move. The waiting was hard for the alien crew. Days passed slowly, and tension grew with every moment. Some crew members whispered about what Earth's warship could do. They told stories about the humans' strength and resilience. They spoke of battles long ago, where humans had fought against great odds and won. Varkal listened to these stories. He remembered the warning from the distant fleet. Earth's warship was powerful and not to be challenged lightly. He knew they had to be careful. But the question remained, what did the humans want? One day, a sudden burst of light flashed from the warship. It was a signal, clear and strong. The aliens watched closely as a message came through their screens. It was simple. Prepare yourselves. The future will decide. The message was a challenge wrapped in calm words. It told the aliens that Earth was ready to defend itself, but did not want to strike first. It was a warning and an invitation all at once. Varkal gathered his officers. "We must be ready," he said. "This is not a fight we want, but one we may have to face. Earth is strong, smarter than we thought. We cannot underestimate them." The officers nodded, their faces serious. They began planning, training, and preparing their ships. Every crew member worked hard, knowing the days ahead would test their strength and courage. Meanwhile, the humans inside the warship moved with purpose. Their leaders met in quiet rooms filled with maps and screens. They talked about peace but also about defense. They knew the aliens had come close, and they would come closer still. The humans trusted their warship, a symbol of their unity and power. It was built to protect, not to destroy without reason. They hoped the aliens would see this and choose peace. Back in the alien fleet, Varkal could feel the weight of the coming days. He looked at the stars, wondering what would happen when the two forces met again. Would there be understanding, or would fear and misunderstanding lead to more tension? The answer was unknown. But one thing was clear. Earth's warship had changed everything. It was no longer just a ship. It was a sign that the galaxy's balance was shifting. Varkal sighed deeply. The calm before the storm was over. Now, it was time to face the future, uncertain but full of possibilities. The silent warship waited in the dark, watching and ready. And so did the alien fleet. The quiet of space felt heavier with each passing day. The alien fleet drifted near Earth, watching the great warship that hovered silently in the darkness. It was more than a ship. It was a statement, a symbol of power and warning that no one could ignore. Inside the alien ship's tension grew. Every crew member felt it, the weight of what was coming, though no one knew exactly when or how it would begin. Varkal stood on the bridge of his scout ship, staring at the distant warship glowing softly against the black sky. The stars around it seemed to dim in comparison. His mind raced with questions. What were the humans planning? Why had they sent such a massive warship to this remote edge of space? Were they ready to make the next move? Or was this all a test? The alien leaders sent more messages to Earth, hoping for answers. They asked for talks, for peace. But the humans remained silent. Their warship stayed still, like a giant guardian watching over its world. This silence spoke loudly. It told the aliens that Earth was waiting, watching too, but not yet ready to speak. Varkal gathered his officers. They discussed what they knew and what they feared. The warship is not just a tool of battle, Varkal said quietly. It is a message. Earth is saying they will protect themselves no matter what. The officers nodded. They understood. The aliens had spent years exploring the galaxy, learning about different races. But Earth was different. It was unpredictable, strong, and full of secrets. Days turned into weeks. The alien fleet trained harder, readied their ships, and prepared for what might come. But no attack came. Instead, small signs appeared. Lights flashed on Earth's warship at odd times. Strange patterns of energy pulsed from its surface. The aliens tried to understand these signals, but they were a puzzle. One day, the aliens noticed something new. A smaller human ship left the warship and moved toward the alien fleet. Everyone held their breath. Was this a scout, a messenger, or a challenge? The small ship stopped at a safe distance and opened a channel. A human voice came through the speakers, calm and clear. "We do not want war," the voice said. "We seek only to protect our home and learn if peace is possible." Varkal felt a mix of relief and caution. This was the first real contact since the warship's appearance. The humans were reaching out, but their words carried strength and resolve. The alien leaders replied, "We wish for peace as well. Let us find a way to understand each other." For the first time, a plan began to form. A meeting would take place, somewhere neutral, far from Earth and the alien homeworlds. Both sides would send representatives to talk, to find a way to avoid conflict. The crews on both sides prepared for this meeting. The aliens polished their ships and studied human history, eager to learn more about the people they had feared. The humans readied their diplomats and scientists, hoping to build trust. As the meeting day approached, tension mixed with hope. Could two very different worlds find common ground? Or were they too far apart in their fears and experiences? Varkal thought about the warship once more. It was still there, silent and watchful, a symbol of power but also of possibility. The future was unclear, but the chance for peace had arrived. The ships moved closer together in the vast darkness, ready to bridge the gap between worlds. The vast emptiness between the two fleets felt charged with quiet energy. The ships from Earth and the alien worlds hovered not far apart, each waiting for the moment when voices would cross the void and change the course of their futures. Varkal stood on the deck of his ship, watching the distant Earth warship gleam like a sentinel. The air was thick with tension, but also a fragile hope. For weeks, preparations had been underway for the first meeting between the two worlds. Representatives, diplomats, and scientists had been chosen from both sides. The alien leaders wanted to understand humans better, to learn what made them so strong and why their warship stood so tall in space without firing a single shot. On Earth's side, the humans who had lived through countless challenges and dangers saw this meeting as a chance to show that strength was not just in power, but also in understanding and patience. The warship was a symbol of protection, not of attack. The meeting place was a small neutral asteroid station far from both Earth and the alien homeworlds. Ships from both sides arrived, slowly and carefully. As the representatives stepped off their vessels, eyes met with curiosity and caution. The aliens' features were different, strange, and unknown. The humans were familiar yet filled with quiet determination. Varkal watched the first moments of contact. Neither side spoke at first. The silence was heavy but necessary. It allowed each to see that the other was real, not just a threat or a shadow. Slowly, a translator device began to work and the first words were exchanged. "We come in peace," said the human leader, a calm voice filled with meaning. "We want to understand, not to fight." The alien leader responded, "We have feared your power, but we also seek knowledge. We wish to find a way to live without war." The talks began, slow and careful. Questions were asked about history, culture, and intentions. The aliens wanted to know how humans had survived so many dangers. The humans shared stories of hardship, of times when they had been weak, but had learned to grow stronger by working together. As the conversation deepened, a new respect grew. The aliens realized that the humans' warship was not just a tool of defense, but a symbol of unity and hope. The humans understood the fears of the aliens and offered ways to build trust between their worlds. Still, not all was easy. Old fears and misunderstandings made the talks difficult at times. The aliens worried about hidden threats. The humans worried about losing their freedom. But both sides kept returning to the table, knowing that the future depended on what they decided now. Varkal felt the weight of this moment. The decisions made here could change everything. The stars outside the station shone brightly, as if watching and waiting with them. After many days of discussion, a plan began to take shape. The two worlds would share knowledge and resources. They would open channels for communication and work together to explore the galaxy peacefully. The warship would remain near Earth, a guardian and reminder of the strength that came from unity. As the meeting ended, the representatives shook hands, or the alien equivalent, and promised to continue building their fragile peace. The hope in the room was real, but so was the understanding that much work remained. Back on their ships, crews on both sides felt a mix of relief and readiness. They knew this was only the beginning of a new chapter. The galaxy was wide and full of unknown dangers, but now they would face it together. Varkal looked out at the stars once more. The warship's silent light was no longer a warning alone. It was a beacon, shining for a future where different worlds could find peace. ChatGPT said, the space between Earth and the alien fleet was no longer filled with silence, but with cautious hope. After the meeting on the distant asteroid station, things had changed. The giant warship remained near Earth, its light still glowing softly, a symbol not of war but of peace and protection. Varkal stood on the deck of his ship, watching it with a new feeling, respect mixed with wonder. The aliens had never seen humans like this before. Not just strong and ready, but wise enough to seek peace, even with those who once feared them. The talks had opened doors that many thought would stay closed forever. Yet Varkal knew the future was still uncertain. Trust was a fragile thing, and it took time to build. In the weeks that followed, ships from both worlds began to exchange visits. Scientists shared ideas about technology and medicine. Explorers talked about their discoveries and the mysteries of the stars. It was a time of learning and discovery, where curiosity began to replace fear. One day Varkal received a message from Earth's warship. The human leaders invited him and his officers to visit, to see how they lived and worked inside the massive ship. It was an invitation filled with openness and hope. When Varkal and his crew arrived, they were surprised by what they saw. The warship was not just a machine of power, it was a home filled with life. People worked, laughed, and shared stories. Children played in safe areas. The ship was alive with energy and warmth. The humans showed their guests their history, their struggles, and their dreams for the future. They spoke of how they had faced dangers before, and how those challenges had made them stronger together. Varkal listened carefully. He saw not just a strong people, but a people who cared deeply for their world and for peace. As the visit ended, Varkal felt a deep change inside him. The fear he once had was replaced by respect and hope. He knew the journey between their worlds was just beginning. There would be challenges ahead, but now they would face them as allies, not enemies. The alien fleet began to leave the area around Earth, not as conquerors or invaders, but as friends who had learned to understand each other. The warship stayed near Earth, a guardian and a symbol of a new era. Varkal looked back at the shining warship one last time before his ship moved away. The stars stretched out before him, full of promise and possibility. He knew that the future was uncertain, but it was a future they would build together, with hope, courage, and a shared dream of peace. And so the story of Earth's warship was no longer a story of fear, but a story of friendship. A beacon lighting the way in the vast darkness of space.